So we've been talking about this day for a long time. And the people that are before you, they're going to introduce themselves to you, are part of our stewardship team or our Stewardship for All Seasons team. And they are so committed to this that they wanted to be able to share about their excitement about the ministry that's happening here at Holy Cross. And one thing that I've had a few questions about is we are doing an initiative, they're going to talk about that a little bit, about talking about not charging for faith development or confirmation. Holy Cross, in my tenure and before I came, had the practice of having fees to be in faith development and fees to be in confirmation, and also the Bibles that we gave, parents actually paid for. And we've been in conversation about that needs to change, that we want everyone to feel welcome. And so that's like $12,000 right there in our mission plan. But I wanted to clarify that because next fall, we would really like to be able to offer our religious programming, at least for faith development and confirmation, at no cost. And that those Bibles that we give are actually from the congregation. And so we want to move away from having that responsibility just be on the parents, because we all make that promise to them in their baptism. So just a clarification, who are you guys?
I'm Lowell Carl.
Steve Trethaway. Aaron Cross.
And Karen Ropel.
We are all called to love the Lord our God with all our hearts, all our souls, all our minds, all our strength, and to love our neighbors as ourselves. We just heard that read to us in the gospel this morning. We all answer that call in different ways. I've answered that call by becoming a member of Holy Cross Lutheran Church, leading the stewardship team, joining Altar Guild, being a small group leader, engaging in Bible study, turning the lights out and locking the doors, and giving first, giving generously, and giving consistently. I am moved by the Spirit to serve however I can, physically and financially. I know that my offering is changing lives in this church and outside these doors in our local communities and globally. Our plan for 2020 has inspired me to increase my financial commitment, as Pastor Meredith talked about in her intro this morning. And I'm going to turn to Karen and ask Karen to share a little bit more about what we're doing here and how she feels about it.
Thank you. You guys hopefully have seen the plan. It's in the brochures, but the really, really short version from someone who loves to talk is we're doing a lot of great things that are a little different, as Pastor Meredith said. Not having transactional fees for faith development. This makes sense. It makes sense to me as someone with 2 kids here to let people come to church and enjoy church and learn about the faith without having to pay for it. Makes sense. Being out in the community and really living our faith and demonstrating our faith through our outreach with our other churches, being in the community, being great partners locally, beyond ourselves in Menominee Falls, into Milwaukee, in Tanzania, and in El Salvador. This ministry is really a great way where we can live our faith and be Christians. And the last piece is really taking care of our church, making sure that we're maintaining our building, our staff, and making sure that everyone is safe and that we have a great place where we can grow in faith so that we can continue in our service.
Thanks, Karen. Aaron, 71,000 is the ask. Is that doable? Can we do that?
Well, that was part of my job with this, is being the numbers guy, right? So looking at this, I mean, you could step back and just say from a gut perspective, 71,000 is super achievable. We raised, over $300,000 towards a couple of parking lots in a couple of years. So I don't think 71,000 for this congregation is a huge ask. The other thing is, if you look at what the raw data I got was how many people were at different giving levels. If you look at that statement of intent, there's like a giving range chart, and you can probably figure out where you fall on that chart. Take what you gave last year, divide by 52. We're looking at kind of a weekly level. That seems to be the easiest for people to kind of process. And you don't have to change too many numbers in there to get just a few extra people stepping up and going up maybe a level or two above beyond where they are, and big things happen. I mean, that's the beauty of being part of a larger church, is we aren't relying on 2 or 3 families here to step up and carry the load for the entire congregation. We can make small changes. Each of us, every gift makes a difference, and just if everybody steps up a little bit, we can accomplish great things. And that's really what this is about. It's about a mission plan that a lot of times we dream up this plan that we want to do each year, and then we have to scale it back because, we can only grow at 1% or whatever it might be. This is about kind of reaching deeper and really saying, if this is something we think we should do, let's do it.
That's perfect, Aaron. Thank you. So we know there are some people that give, but maybe aren't necessarily committed givers. They aren't pledging, so it's hard for us to count those dollars into the mission work that we want to do. Karen, can you kind of share your story about the transition from being a non-committed giver to being a committed giver?
Yes. My husband and I, Jeff and I, joined this church, and when we moved to the Falls and started coming here, we enjoyed it. We loved being part of the community. But we decided to make the choice, much like this, on a Consecration Sunday, where we were asked to fill out our pledge cards. And that part, to give you some scope of when this was, we just had a baby. So you're dealing with that, everybody's got a budget, but when that first time you're buying diapers and formula and all the stuff and daycare, and you guys have been there, everybody has a budget. And so we sat there in the pew thinking, can we commit? Is this something that we want to budget? Is this something that we want to commit to? And Pastor Meredith was preaching, and like she does. And the trust in the Lord with all your heart came out. I'm not the biblical person, but it really was a challenge for me. If I'm here and I'm part of this community, what's stopping me? And if I really trust in the Lord and turn it over to God, what great things can happen? And so Jeff and I decided to make a commitment. We joined the church. We filled out our pledge card, and we haven't looked back since. And it's been really powerful to kind of plant our flag here at Holy Cross and in Menominee Falls, and to say we belong and we get to do good things by being here.
And we've certainly been blessed by the commitment that you and Jeff have made in many ways. And we're blessed by every commitment that's made in the congregation at whatever level. Every gift is leveraged by the staff and the leadership team to be multiplied in ministry. If we think about maybe $1 a day, maybe we're able to increase $1 a day. Maybe you're able to start committing to $1 a day, or move to $1 a day. 9 families, $1 a day. That's over $3,000. That funds one of our new ministry programs. That's a couple pews of families and individuals. So, and I think also when we work together, $1 here, $1. When we think about our noisy offering, we put a few coins in, and we're able to leverage that across the region for food ministry, for campus ministry, for camping ministries. So a little bit by everyone can go a long way.
Thanks, Steve. So, Steve, when we talk about how we can grow our giving so that we can achieve our 2020 mission, how are you responding to the ask, and why are you responding in the way that you are?
Well, Norma and I have each year talked about and worked at giving a little bit more. Sometimes the income has been down. We say, can we give a little bit more in terms of percentage anyways, if not in total dollars? And, we do that. For us, it's been modeled, right? We came to this community 12 years ago. There was a great community. There's a great facility. There's children's programming, music. So people before have made a commitment and have given a little as they were able over the years to sustain and grow this ministry. And I think we're very excited, particularly this year, about the new mission opportunities that have been identified. I guess my spin on eliminating fees for much of our youth programming is, we have this worship experience here where we invite everyone to come in and join us in worship, to hear the message of God's love for us. And, we just want to take that barrier that there's not an expectation to have a fee for our children to participate in youth ministry program in that way. Another thing, for me, this is the part of my life, right? This is the community I choose to be part of to keep myself grounded in what's really important in life, right? How do I not become too self-absorbed? How do I work out what it means to live as a child of God? And maybe one example, right, is one of the things I help with is a small group leader for our confirmation ministry program. And what Pastor Drew and Pastor Sarah and the leadership team of that have done is very exciting on Wednesday nights if you haven't been part of it. But sometimes, you come every Wednesday, it's been a long day, a little tired or whatever, and why did we commit to this? But, I get a chance to interact with our middle school youth and talk about their faith development, and I always come away uplifted and inspired. So
That's awesome. And anybody is welcome to come to Wednesday night service. Just a little plug there. So one of the things that I'm so excited about absolutely every part of the mission plan. I think we're hitting all kinds of different areas that will really allow us to grow deep roots in faith in our church, in our community, and then reaching those branches out. But caring community is one that really touches me. The work that the ladies do in terms of putting together the chemo bags, if we think about some of the other things we do in caring community with prayer shawls, the community banquet, reaching out there, expecting absolutely nothing in return, just wanting to share the love of Jesus with folks. That's really special, and so I'm super excited that we're going to invest some dollars there to help make those programs sustainable. And then the other pieces, and Elsie will get into this a little bit too, but we want to make sure that those folks who can't get to church because there's a barrier, that we can provide a service for them to bring them here so they can worship with their brothers and sisters in Christ. And that is something else that we're looking to invest in next year as well. Personally, caring community, the chemo bags and prayer shawls is something that I was able to leverage. I found out this summer that a dear friend of mine was diagnosed with colon cancer and liver cancer. She's the same age as I am. She's got kids exactly in the same grade I do in high school, and I was devastated because what do? And you hear that news and you're thinking, oh my gosh, what could I do? So I prayed, and the little light came and it called and it said, you know what, Holy Cross has these prayer shawls, and they have these chemo bags, and you should take advantage of that. Go get one and give that to your friend and let her know that she is not alone. So I did, and not only did that comfort me, but it also comforted her, and I think it also inspired her ex-husband to do a fundraiser at his business throughout the month of October, where they will be collecting funds to purchase chemo bags that they can then use at the local community hospitals for other people who are going through chemotherapy. So that's the Spirit moving through Holy Cross and out further into the community, touching people who aren't necessarily members here. That is what we are called to do. So we're going to switch gears a little bit. In the brochures and in the inserts you guys have gotten throughout the last couple of weeks, there's been some very specific questions in there that we're asking you to reflect on in terms of your giving. And I'm going to ask Aaron. Aaron, how adequately does your giving reflect your gratitude to God for all the blessings you have received?
Well, I think the key word in the question is blessings. We are all so incredibly blessed. I think we wake up in a safe home. We are in a great community. We live in the greatest country on earth. And the least blessed of all of us in the congregation is still significantly more blessed than many people outside of our borders. So just to wake up and be thankful for that is so important. I think a lot of us, we have a busy family. My wife Lisa and I, we have 2 kids. We're running around like crazy all the time. I think a lot of us can relate to that. I'm not able to volunteer and do a lot of the things my heart is asking me to do, and one way that I can participate and help is through contributions. I think we think back to how that's modeled for us. My parents are actually here today on their way down south, and the thought was, when I grew up in church, you kind of gave because it seemed like the thing to do, and I think that's what I thought and when I joined the church here, and that we just gave because that was what you're supposed to do. But the amazing thing is when you shift from actually doing that giving to wanting to do it, to feeling so blessed and thankful that you're able to share. I think back to every dollar that we've ever given away. And when I sat down with Lisa the other day and said, hey, why do we give? We give because we can, and it makes us feel good to give and to do that. And every dollar that's given at Holy Cross goes so far. It touches people in the building, and it touches people in the community, and it touches people across the world. And that's one way that I don't have to think or invest a ton of time into knowing that those dollars are going to good use. And then finally, I stepped back and thought about it and thought about every dollar we've ever given away. Every dollar. Never missed that dollar. Never once. Think back, reflect on that yourself. Every dollar you've ever given away, have you ever wished you had it back? If anything else, you just wish you had more income and you could give more. And that's the beauty of it.
That's great, Aaron. Thank you. We're going to shift gears a little bit. LC here is the most senior member of our group, and he has a little bit of a different perspective in terms of his giving and the programming that we're doing. So LC, as the more senior member of our group, how does the mission plan for Holy Cross encourage you?
Well, I have to say first that I am not a member of the stewardship team. It just dawned on me. This is the third time we've done this weekend, by the way. Huh? Well, I was signed as a free agent. And you know what that means, don't you? It means Pastor Meredith caught me in the hallway and said, we need you. And I want to thank the committee. Steve is going to bail on us, but that's, he's got family stuff. But anyway, we've been at this for probably a year or more. And bless Stephanie's heart for putting up with all of us. But we have been all over the city with all these other churches that Pastor mentioned. And so I have been struggling with what is my participation in this going to be, and then I realized why I got drafted, and you will realize at the end of my little spiel why I am here, okay? But Temple Talks by Karen Nelson and Amanda explained what is, you'll see in the brochure, the many, many things we're going to do, and not all that long ago, I'm in my usual seat on Saturday night, over on the left. Don't even think about sitting there if you come Saturday night. Somebody paid $50 to get an Uber ride to come to church with me. And I thought, that's unconscionable that somebody would have to do that. But on the other hand, they wanted to come and be with us. You'll notice in here that we're going to arrange for some transportation for people who are not able to drive. And you guys with gray hair and some of you seniors realize there is nothing that scares us to death more than not being able to drive. I don't know what I would do if I couldn't drive, and that day is going to come. We are going to take care of that for at least one person, if not more. But anyway, Karen Nelson and Amanda's talks let us know that this is where we are heading. This is what we are going to do. We would like you to join us. Now you have another question for me, I believe.
I do. So, Elsie, how does your giving level compare with other ways you use your money? As a senior who's retired, some other things that you have to think about, right?
Well, absolutely. Finances are tricky. We all have to make decisions about them, what we spend, where we spend it, what will we do with it. And then, in getting ready for this, how many of you have more than one house, more than one home? I saw one little hand in the back. All of you put your hand up. This is your house too. Am I not right? This is your house, so is the other one, the apartment, condo, whatever it might be. You have an obligation, we have an obligation to treat this house in the same or better way than we do with our own, and what happens in it and around it and with each of those families. I was sitting there last week. Pastor Sarah gave a sermon on change, and I'm going, oh, there it is. I whipped out my pen, started taking notes. I'm watching her jump up and down, all enthusiastic, and if you saw it, it was probably one of the best sermons, outside of Pastor Meredith's, of course, that I have ever heard. And I made all of these notes, and what happened, I'm getting a little choked up, and I'm sorry. I went on YouTube and listened to it twice more early in the week, and I said, if your prayers aren't answered by that, what happened, that fate, that I was able to listen to that and get more inspired, because change for us Lutherans is not easy. We are European-based. We are not always open and gregarious and speaking. Now you know why I got drafted, because I'm not afraid to ask for money. That's what I am doing right now. We are going to change. We are going to make some great changes. Our 2 young pastors are part of that. Bless their heart. Our music program, all the other things that we have going on around here. What we want you to do is help us grow our roots and branches. Join us as we change big time. Become stewards for all seasons along with us. Okay? Grandpa's done.
Thanks, Grandpa. I'd at this point just like to thank you guys for listening to us today, and to thank you for prayerfully considering how you want to change with us and inspire and increase your giving in 2020. And I'd like to end in a prayer. Dear Lord, let us be thankful for the family we have through you here at Holy Cross. Bless all that walk through our doors and all those we meet in our daily activities. Our hearts are full of gratitude for the abundance of faith, love, and hope you pour out onto all of us through Jesus. Our lives overflow with thankfulness for you, Lord. I ask that you call each of us to give, serve, pray, worship, study, invite, and encourage as you have taught us. We pray these things in your name. Amen.